Udema hitada hufong kwang do I should do. I wish I was someone else right now.
Yeah, now we get to the one that I intentionally skipped. I can't be the only one that had no interest in this game when it came out. From the outskirts, it just looked like DLC. 3 in the title, only 6 hours long, you're now playing as an ODST, and Reach is releasing next year? Yeah, nah. To my juvenile mind at the time, this wasn't worth copping. Was definitely a mistake in hindsight though, because this game was actually pretty dope. Switched up the series formula while having its own unique atmosphere. Despite the warm reception though, this is the first game in the series that isn't unanimously glazed, and it's for the exact same reasons people fuck with it.
Scatter! Get this thing off of me.
Despite the 3 in the title, Halo 3 ODST takes place during Halo 2 right after that Covenant ship Shockwave laid waste to New Mombasa. The game sees us playing as a group of ODST who have been tasked to board that ship. However, plans change at the last minute when the team leader Dare changes the course to do a classified mission she's trying to get done. Also, that ship Shockwave I was talking about earlier, yeah, it activates and knocks out the rookie of the group. The rookie crash lands somewhere in the city center, but doesn't awake until hours later. Stranded in the city, the only thing left to do now is to find the rest of his crew, which is what he tries to do for the rest of the game. In between each clue found, the game flashbacks hours earlier to the perspective of another squad mate. So not too much graphical improvement compared to Halo 3 since we're still on the same console and engine, but man, what this game lacks for improved graphics, it makes up for some strong atmosphere. Probably the strongest atmosphere in the series, honestly. There's a dark cloud over this place. Mombasa streets is gloomy. The only thing left on these blocks are the Covenant, and once was. 0 pedestrians, empty cars, echoes of abandoned tech machinery with only neon lights showing the way forward. They definitely nailed the feeling of isolation. The rookie being completely silent through all this adds to it. What brings it all together though is the music, and sometimes lack thereof. Instead of the usual grandiose orchestral tracks we've come to know and love, the music here is a lot more subdued, more ambient with a tinge of jazz. No track here is as iconic as the Master Chief theme, but on average, these are simultaneously some of the eeriest and most beautiful compositions the composers have made yet. But don't get it twisted, when not in Mombasa, there's still some bangers. But yeah, who knew that a semi-film noir aesthetic would work for a series like Halo? This game is so dark, man. There's long stretches where it feels like you have to walk around with the night vision mode. Usually not a fan of games filtering how they look so often, but it's pretty unintrusive here. I often forgot I had that shit on until the flashback levels. As far as them shits, that's when you do notice that you're playing a game from the 360 era, as the game isn't bathed in darkness and you can actually see the fidelity of the models and environments clearly. But even then, this game still looks pretty good all these years later. I would imagine this is how they originally wanted New Mombasa to look when making it in Halo 2, but obviously couldn't for technical reasons.
Hey, where's the fight at?
Take a guess, genius.
Son of a gun!
Wanna live? Get your ass out of the street!
Wait for me!
So with the 3 in the title, you already know what to expect. It's just more Halo 3. If you don't fuck with how that game played or any of the other Halo games, then you won't fuck with this. I mean shit, I don't blame them. If you got a working formula, keep implementing it until it gets stale, and it's not stale yet. Same weapons aside from this silenced SMG, same type of enemies, same vehicles, and same game feel. The only difference really is that you're playing as an ODST, which means that you're a little bit more vulnerable and can't do as much. Can't dual wield anymore, you take fall damage, can't jump as high, and you ain't got any recharging shields. From hearing all this, you would assume that, okay, well, if the player is so nerfed, this game is more focused on taking gunfights cautiously, thinking about how to engage with enemies rather than spamming grenades and melee hits and hopping all over the place. Well, if you were thinking that, then you were as wrong as I was, because how you approach situations ain't no different from the other Halos. Yeah, I don't feel much of a difference, y'all. No matter who you're playing as, you're still a one-man militia taking care of hordes with ease. You don't have a rechargeable shield anymore, but you might as well still have one since your health still regenerates when you're not getting hit. Oh, I'm sorry, it's called stamina now, like it even matters. With these Mombasa street parts, I can't but feel like they missed out on doing something truly unique for the series. Like, don't get me wrong, being stuck in one open world location that you're backtracking through is a welcome change, but after a couple times returning here, it does feel like you're just playing through the same level over and over again. Aside from the main mission clues scattered throughout the city, there isn't really any points of interest in New Mombasa. Nothing really to collect, lots of dead ends, and you barely ever see how these buildings look indoors. Yeah, the vibes are definitely doing the heavy lifting because gameplay-wise, there's not much depth to New Mombasa as an open world. With this tone and plot setup, I feel like they should have just leaned harder into this being a survival game, like actually depowering the player and making the player think twice about approaching enemies, maybe adding some stealth elements or limiting ammo. Probably would have alienated the core fan base, but I mean shit, we already got 2 sequels in a row that went the refining route. I'm sure they would have lived. How a lot of people I know in real life describe this game is more closer to what I proposed, which makes me think what the fuck game they played. Still, I'm being more critical than how I actually feel because this is still one hell of a campaign, and what saves it are the flashback missions with the other ODSTs. This is where the game drops all pretensions and goes back to the linear high-octane Covenant shooting that we all know and love. Standouts here being the Dutch mission where you're fighting off a seemingly endless wave of brutes, and Mickey's mission where you go buck wild with the Scorpion, which is always a good time.
Wake up, Buttercup.
Relax, rookie. He don't mean nothing. Besides, now's one of those times. Pays to be the strong, silent type.
So I've always had a soft spot for these sort of military squad stories. You know, just a bunch of badass dudes riffing with each other while kicking ass. It's definitely a needed reprieve from how serious this series had been up until this point. We actually get to see what the war is like from the perspective of your average soldier, and it's pretty refreshing seeing a bunch of people that need to work together to succeed rather than one OP badass doing everything. The squad are a likable bunch, but they are just common archetypes. It's to the point where I'm pretty sure that the only one people remember is Buck, and that's because, for one, he's voiced by Nathan Fillion, he gets more than just one flashback mission, and he's the only one with something else going on outside of just completing the mission. I see he's into chick with strong chins because goddamn, that shit can cut through the Milky Way. If anything, it feels like he's the main character rather than the rookie who's literally asleep for all of this shit and doesn't really contribute to anything until the final stretch where you're escaping the city. I understand having a player surrogate, but damn. I endured the atmosphere of Mombasa streets, but narratively, there's nothing really going on here. My guy's on a fucking Easter egg hunt while the rest of the crew are fighting for their lives. The twist of these new jellyfish-looking aliens being the secret computers behind a lot of the Covenant secrets is pretty neat, especially since throughout the game you're contemplating on whether they're actually threats or not. Thing is, I don't really see how it ties into anything going on in the Master Chief storyline unless I missed something. Maybe all this comes back later in the series. Never finished Halo 2 and didn't really bother with the other 343 Industry games, so I have no clue. If they do, cool, fleshes out the Halo universe. If they don't, well, it's a bit of a pointless revelation. Still, it's an enjoyable little side story for the limited time allocated. Probably would have been easier riding a faceless, nameless ODST soldier simply fighting to escape the city, but this is a bit more interesting.
Come on! Damn it! Move!
Oh, nuts. What can I say? It was a hell of a night.
So yeah, that's Halo 3 ODST, a real underrated gem. Don't be like me back then. If you mess with Halo and you haven't played this one, then you missed out because this one's pretty dope. For an in-between game, this was definitely punching above its weight class. Gameplay's good old-fashioned Halo with some needed twists, the vibes are immaculate, the story's solid, and it can all be experienced in one sitting. It's on the Master Chief Collection, so if y'all got that on PC or Xbox, then check it out. Anyway, that's all I gotta say about this. Do the usual thing to help this video out in the algorithm, and I'll see y'all next time.